Oh man, welcome to Snapshot 6. It feels like it's been a long journey since Snapshot 5. We had the huge event at the Optic Arena. It was fantastic. You guys put so many gameplay hours into it, and we have a lot of really amazing features coming in this Snapshot. I thought this was going to be a small one, Quinn, but it just kept getting bigger and bigger, and I can't wait for you guys to see what's coming up.
Yeah, it's going to be great, Rob. I'm right there with you. We originally set out to do something that was, targeted and still exciting, but at the same time, it's like this thing has ballooned quite a bit, and we are just overjoyed with being able to reveal what we got in store for people today.
Let's take a moment to look back at how we got here from Snapshot 5.
1 year to get to this point.
And we're giving you the weapons to get the job done.
That the Rising Freeze is no joke.
Rising Freeze is the very first of many shutdown mechanics that are on the way.
And it wouldn't be a true showdown without some of the biggest names dropping into Sector 3. What better than Doc himself with the DEADROP?
An amazing game, honestly. So I'm blown away by Snapshot 5.
Oh!
Never seen someone out themselves for cheating as fast as you just did. That was so good. How many variants are there currently? Don't Google it. I can hear your keyboard.
Oh my God. Oh my God, Steve. I'm clipping it.
It was just like last night.
Oh, it was just like last night.
All right, that was so exciting to see that. I can't just tell you how awesome it was, just that experience, being there in Dallas, feeling the energy from the founders, people there, all that. But it's not just the event. It was also all the community online events that we've been doing in DEADROP through Snapshot 5, then having all the feelings from the players, them reacting, them giving us thoughts. The machine is rolling, Rob.
Oh, the machine is definitely going, but this live stream is all about Snapshot 6. We set it up well with Snapshot 5, but now we have so many great features. We're going into the introduction of AI into the game. We're looking at what you're doing with your loot when you get out of a session. You have this incredible stash. Now it's time to start trading it, collecting dust, buying new things that you need, and a lot of really cool features about how to recover stuff that you lost in the match. Now, it's not our job to go into all the details because we have an incredible team here who has been working on the features. And first up is Dave Walker diving into the cleaners.
Up until now, you've had to contend with the Rising Freeze in Sector 3 and other variants and claws while fighting for loot and racing to extraction points. But there's something more sinister lurking in the tower. Not quite human, not quite AI, but something in between. Cleaners. Employed by the refiner state, cleaners are the ultimate NPC that will keep you on your guard. Keep your ears peeled for the unnerving sounds that they make. They can spawn in at any time, appear in threes, and can definitely deal out damage. As suddenly as they spawn in, they can disappear in an instant with their cloaking ability. If they see any unclaimed loot, they won't hesitate to clean it up while they're cleaning up dead bodies. But here's where it gets interesting. Cleaners are opponents like anyone else, neither good nor bad per se. There's one in particular that you could strike up an advantageous relationship with, if you play your cards right. We call him the vendor. He's got your lost loot and he runs an underground shop where you can sell unwanted loot and buy back recovered loot, but it'll cost you. That's where dust comes in. You'll start with 200 dust and earn more by selling extracted items. Rack up as much of this in-game currency as you can so you can pay whatever price the vendor sets for the loot item you want. Cleaners will continue to evolve in DEADROP. We can't wait to see how you interact with them.
Oh man, I am so excited for you guys to experience the cleaners. Dave broke it down expertly, but really these are something that you have to experience to really get how much they impact your gameplay. The first time I dropped to a playtest and they surprised me in there, I was blown away. So get in there, check it out. I can't wait for your feedback because as he said, this is an evolving features. They're gonna keep expanding and growing over time based on how you interact with them. how good they are, how they impact the game, and how they change the meta. So get in there, play it. Can't wait to see what you think.
I got nothing more to add to all that goodness. I say we let the good times roll. Let's pass it over to Kevin and Ryan and see what other new stuff we got coming at Snapshot 6.
Thanks, guys. Well, you don't have to run solo anymore because we added squads to DEADROP. We're super happy to deliver this long-awaited feature to you guys. It's a core part of what makes multiplayer games so great. Our internal play tests have gotten way more competitive, and as a result, way more fun. Along with squadding, you can also add players to your follower list. Think of it like following someone on Twitter, only the person doesn't get a notification that you're following them. We also added the squad chat feature, with settings like always on or push to talk. We also added push to talk for proximity chat, so you can talk with your squad without giving away your position in match. You can add people to your squad by heading over to the roster tab, clicking on a follower, a recent player, or searching for a player by their username and sending an invite.
In addition to being able to squad up, we've also added a ping system that allows you to mark locations, enemies, and loot for your squad mates.
All right, that was really cool to see. The team really crushed it this snapshot when it comes to everything from the UI and the user experience, what Kevin did and Michael, what they accomplished. Feels so good in game where you can now squad up. That was something that people were asking for. We delivered, and it's the beginning of it. It's not finished, but it's just so great to be in there and be able to, hey, I want to invite someone. All right, you come in here. Let's go on a run. We're maxing out at three players on a squad right now, but you can go to 2 if you want. And I've had some of the most fun play tests going in solo against squads, or I mix it up sometimes. Hey, it's just me and my buddy and the team. We're going in against squads of 3, and it's just been such a big bonus to how the game plays now, as giving that choice to the players. So we're really just cannot be more excited about not only the implementation of squads, but just how it looks in the UI itself.
Yeah, and this is a perfect example of a feature that is sort of prioritized and derived from all the feedback, not just the deliberate direct feedback that we get from our audience, but looking at how you guys have been playing the game, how you've been experienced since the beginning of multiplayer in DEADROP. We've been watching and seeing how much playing together really impacts the experience overall. And up until now, that has just been happening organically. People have been teaming up, they've been doing the 3 squads to let you know that they're friendly, and then you like group up and you have like a crazy experience. And we just wanted, because of that feedback, to really solidify that as an official feature that is supported by the game, supported by the UI, and makes it easier for you to do that, right? Adding somebody to your friends list, your follower list, jumping into a squad has been super streamlined, and we're going to continue to develop it. It's been fantastic. But now that we've shown you some of the new features that are going to change how you play the game, with the cleaners, with squatting up, all of that, now let's get into some of the new places that you're going to be able to play in Snapshot 6, and a few of the upgrades to gear and equipment that are going to help you once you get in there.
All right. Now, for all of you hotshots out there, we've got a new proving ground for you in Snapshot 6. This new map has a few long sightlines reminiscent of Sector 3, but it introduces plenty of tight interior spaces that encourage close quarter battles. You'll experience our first pass at interactable doors and windows, and with the addition of several other new gameplay features that are game-wide, this new proving ground plays very differently from Sector 3. Development-wise, proving ground maps serve as stress tests to prove whether or not the map's geo is fun. After implementing your feedback and eventually incorporating this new proving ground into the refiner state, the bells and whistles of theatrical extractions and a new sector shutdown mechanic will be introduced. That's later, but for now, we've made a few updates to the original proving ground game mode that we've been having a lot of fun with, and that you guys are going to try out for the first time. This new proving ground is seriously awesome. We've also introduced a new map rotation feature to DEADROP. Periodically, we'll rotate between Sector 3 and Proving Ground. What this means is that you may jump into a couple of runs in Sector 3, and then, depending on where the global timer is at, the map pool will rotate and you'll start queuing into runs in the new Proving Ground map. Mastering this new Proving Ground will take more than a few runs. Now that you can squad up with your friends, make sure to join the Friday night Dead Drop each week if you want to actually stand a chance against me. This map is completely new and our ears are wide open, so explore every corner and let us know what you think.
What's up, everybody? It's Ratboy here. We've heard your feedback, and today I'm super excited to tell you about some of the brand new in-game items that are coming to Dead Drop in Snapshot 6. First, we have the frag grenade. Now, you all know what this does, so I don't need to go too into detail about how it works, but we hope that by adding this to the game, it will create some new strategies and exciting engagements. Next, we have the adrenaline spray. This is a new kind of consumable item that, when used, will grant the player bonus movement speed and extra damage mitigation for a short duration. These are really fun to use and can be super valuable when trying to make it out of a tight spot alive. And finally, we have the zipline thruster, our first gear item added to the game that grants players a really unique benefit. With the zipline thruster equipped, you'll now be able to traverse zip lines in either directions. We really hope this will help open up some more options for players who are trying to make their way from the bottom to the very top. That's all the updates on gear for now. Thank you so much for your continued feedback, and I can't wait to hear what you all think of these new items.
All right, look at all that coming in here. So we got the gadgets, we got our new introduction of gear, which is the zipline thruster. That has just opened up like so many avenues and routes for players. And then again, that was another thing that people were asking for. They were talking about, hey, how do we go and use the zip lines in another direction? How do we do that? That's something we'd like to see in our game because the game is so vertical. And we're listening. We always have our eyes and ears peeled. And to me, it's just such a fun experience of working on this title. Is even what I just said of like what we like in our game, that's the stuff that people are saying. They're saying our game. They're not just saying what we'd like you guys to do in this game. We're all using the same language here, which is just such a blast to see. So zipline thruster, that's in. The new Proving Ground experience that Brad talked about, we're super excited about that as well, just because of what it brings to the table. Not only is it a new place to play, but you could see just how we did the first Proving Ground and the evolution of that, how that made its way into the tower and became Sector 3. What is this Proving Ground? Where could it be in the tower? What sector could this become? And not only all that, you get to play it and check it out, give us feedback. We could get all the rough edges. All of those things is what has us excited. And in my opinion, it just plays very differently from Sector 3. And you can see the evolution from Dead Drop level design from Sector 3 to Proving Ground 2. And that is just something that we're just so excited to see as we just move on to the next Proving Ground that we're going to build out. So can't be more excited about what we've got in Snapshot 6 for everyone to check out.
You know what I love about all this? What I love about every time we introduce a new Proving Ground, a new environment, a new gadget, a new gear, a new feature, a new asset, every time we're layering on these building blocks to build Dead Drop, we are essentially introducing new tools, new little things that our community are going to get to play with when they start creating their own game modes. And right now, we are on the cusp of opening up the Guild of Embers. That is our UGC coming to Dead Drop. That is when we start handing over the keys of the kingdom to our community, to our players, to the general audience, and letting them use their imagination, their creativity, and create their own experiences. augment something that we built. Take a gadget that we've introduced and use it in a different way. Change the balancing, publish custom game modes, create original assets yourself eventually. There's so much that will be able to be accomplished. We are just building the building blocks and using them in a really cool way that you are seeing to create an extraction shooter. But what you might end up creating could be something entirely different. And right now, we're starting to open that up. We're going to be releasing creator tools in the future. We're going to be releasing assets to you that give you a head start on what your creation will end up becoming, what your game will be, what your game will become. And so I'm excited to announce that right now you can sign up to show your interest in becoming one of the first Embers.
Don't die yet. No, did we lose anybody? I did not say Swifter says.
Wow, man. Tell you what, with our creator tools, you will be able to create new weapons and skins for existing weapons. Limitless possibilities in for our creators and what you can do. We're talking things like new game modes, or even if you don't want to do new game modes, you can modify existing game modes, new vehicles, paint jobs for existing vehicles, new environments, or even customize existing sectors that are in the tower, new lore, characters, customized player characters, new collectibles, displays for sectors, player hideouts. Like, I'm just naming off a bunch of stuff. I'm going crazy myself thinking about these things, you know? And so it's just like, this is what's so cool. All within the universe of DEADROP, we're doing everything we can to give what we've been doing to you, the players and the community and the wider community of people that are going to be coming into DEADROP. Super excited about what we're going to be developing here and delivering for you. And I'll just stop right there because I know, Rob, you got all sorts of stuff that you want to talk about too.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. Limitless is the key to this. Where this is going in the future is entirely up to the people who sign up for this right now. You are the driving force. You are the creativity behind this. You are the one who decides how far, how deep we go with all of this creative stuff, all of this UGC creations. So if you are interested in being one of the first people to have access to the creator tool, to get in there and start making anything you want, there is no wrong way to create, whether it's audio, whether it's 2D, whether it's 3D, whether it's game modes. Eventually you'll be able to do it all. So if you want to be in on that ground floor, head over to the website, the page that we've set up on midnightsociety.com, and click I'm interested, so we make sure that we are in communication with you to do this. Now, we've introduced all the new features, all the new areas, all the exciting stuff that we're starting to get to within the existence. But stick around because we're about to dive into some gameplay, live experiences, live reactions from the always wonderful Katie, Quinn giving you the insight from development of the what's and whys and hows that it got into the game. So stick around and listen to that because we're just getting started with the show. But before we go, we want to announce the contest we had before. We had a little bit of a, dipping our toes into the UGC of this game. Everybody have loved the comic collectible that we put in the game, and we wanted to give you guys a chance to create your own. We had a wonderful contest, a lot of incredible submissions, and we're happy to announce and congratulations to Sean Moore for his winning selection. We saw it, we loved it. It's now available and collectible in game. And this is really just a fun little tease into how this community, how this existence is going to expand once you guys have the ability to create anything, right? Starting with the comic was the lowest hanging fruit. You're going to be able to create anything you want eventually. Head to the website, sign up. Congratulations, Sean Moore. Now let's throw it over to Katie and Quinn on the desk and see some of this gameplay in action.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Snapshot 6 reveal here for Dead Drop. Now, we have some really exciting gameplay just around the corner. But first, I want to say thank you so much to Rob for joining us in the first portion of the stream. And, well, if you're just joining us now, I'm your host, Katie Bedford, joined by co-founder and creative director Quinn Del Hoyo. Quinn, how are you doing?
Hey, Katie, I'm doing well. Super excited to be here. This is going to be a fun show.
Yeah, you guys packed a lot of information into the first portion. So anyone who wasn't able to see that, I highly recommend you go back later on and take a look at all the juicy details for Snapshot 6, which again, we'll get to see in action when our 10 teams drop in to Proving Ground 2, new and improved and very exciting. But what is also exciting is you may remember a May 25th tweet from Midnight Society a couple months ago. Now, they put out a tweet. They asked about talent that would be interested in working with Dead Drop. And well, they got a huge response from the community. And they're very excited to announce additions to the talent roster going forward for all official Dead Drop events alongside myself, which is so thrilling because this talent is truly top notch. So I'd love to be able to showcase everyone involved alongside myself. So a very, very warm welcome to Sierra Dawn, Marks, Spider Tiff, and Grandmaster Goj. I know they are just as excited as I am to be a part of this project. And Quinn, look, I think there's going to be a lot of great events going forward. I can't say it enough how talented this crew is.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to working with all of them. I know I'm working with you, Katie, you know, through Snapshot 5 and through our big grand reveal in Snapshot 1. It's been a joy. It's been a pleasure. We have been more than excited to working with you, and then to open it up to more talent. To me, that's just a sign of not only are we growing and Dead Drop is rolling, but you know, we got people that are interested and the eyes are on us. So I can't be more than excited to work with this group as well.
Well, I think there's something really special about getting kind of the privilege as a commentator, whether you're a caster, host, analyst, stage host, whatever it may be, to get involved with a game really at its inception and not only watch the game grow, but watch the community grow around it. So I know I'm so excited to have everyone involved. We got to actually a couple days ago, Quinn, jump in and play a little bit of Snapshot 6 together. And I can say that I lost every single gunfight against Sierra Dawn every time I played against her.
Yeah, well, that happens. I mean, but the good thing is Snapshot 6 is live. You can get in there, you can play some more, and you can get back at her and let her know who's the real boss.
I know. I'm going to have to get revenge. But again, we're just about to jump into it. We actually have 10 total teams. I believe it's going to be squads of 3, so trios. And it's Quinn, 2 dev teams, 3 community teams, and 5 creator teams. So definitely some names that I'm familiar with. But I mean, I'm looking at the dev teams, and I got to be honest with you. I know Brad's on one of those dev teams. I'd be a little nervous to go up against them in a gunfight.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll be honest. I mean, making games a while, dev teams always have an advantage, but I just think they have an advantage for like maybe 30 minutes, and then that goes away. As soon as something is out there, players just have infinite more time, infinite more skill and resources at their hands, and they just grind. And I just think any advantages that devs have goes away real quick. So I'm not exactly saying that the devs are just going to dominate. I think it'll be actually closer than we think. At least I hope so. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to the whole thing.
No, I know. I can't wait for them to jump into it. I hope that we'll get at least a couple nice full matches of all these teams competing against each other. I'll be curious as well to see what teams perhaps decide to extract early as opposed for going for that dead drop. Because of course, we talked about it in the Snapshot 6 reveal earlier portion of this stream that you want to be able to get that space dust currency, Quinn, for the vendor, right? So that you can potentially buy back weapons you've tagged or get other weapons. But to get that space dust, you have to extract with items and weapons you can then sell to the vendor, correct?
Yeah, I mean, the vendor is one of the cleaners, new faction introduced in Snapshot 6. We've been teasing them for a while. Very excited to have them here. But the vendor and the cleaners, they love to deal in dust. That is their main form of currency. That's what they care about. Mm-hmm. And so if you want to get dust, which is the main currency, then yeah, you have to extract with gear, or you win the dead drop to get gear. You just can't go to them with empty-handed because the vendor is just not going to care about anything unless you have the dust to deal with. So that's just something else that players need to keep in mind. If you want to go and do some wheeling and dealing with the cleaners, then you got to bring them something, and their primary thing that they care about is dust.
Right, and it's going to be interesting to see how players differentiate each run when they drop into a dead drop game, perhaps. Are there going to be runs where they're specifically space dust focused, get as many items as you can to extract? And actually, on that note, Quinn, is it just going to be weapons specifically that can be sold, or can you sell other things to the vendors, like, say, bandages or anything like that?
Yeah, it's not just weapons, it's bandages, it's armor. We've got those comic book collectible items that are rare.
You can sell those to the vendor?
Yep, those can be sold.
Wow, okay.
We've got some other tricks up our sleeve that I don't really want to get into right now, but yeah, it's not just, they just don't care about firearms. They care about almost all the stuff. With the one exception is ammo. They don't care about your ammo, so you keep that to yourself.
Okay, that's good to know. That's the one differentiator. Ammo not available to be sold. But something else I want to touch on that was actually talked about by Rob toward the end of the first portion of the stream was embers. Now, embers are something we've heard about since the very beginning, but now really seems to be coming to fruition. I think you all said signups are available. So can you talk to me a little bit more about what that entails for members of the community who might be interested?
So here at Midnight Society, we have big ambitions, not just about dead drop, but big ambitions. And things, that's when it gets into, hey, we said it there in that little trailer, it's like user-generated content. We know that there's so much creativity, so much excitement, where there's people in the community that like to have ownership over them. They want to create, not just, like we called out in earlier a few minutes ago, like not just new maps, but also alter the existing maps of the sectors, maybe create new weapons. And so the Embers is just our term for that side of the Midnight Society existence, and not just people that are relegated to dead drop, like when we talk about claws, right? Or things like that. Like there's claws, there's variants, there's Embers, there's all sorts of terms that we are trying to build our own lexicon of Midnight Society. And that is something that we just really love, because we want this to not just be people that want to play dead drop, and that's great, we want that, but we want people to feel like they're a part of something bigger than just a single game, and form those kind of communities. It's those people that remember back in the day when they would form like guilds and clans, and they had that really good camaraderie of it was something that we're thinking about even when you weren't playing the game, right? It's like, it's always in the back of your mind, like, hey, what do I want to do stuff with my guild? It's kind of similar in that way, but we're trying to blow it out even more. So without revealing too much, but that is pretty much it. And so that's, signups. We want people to go sign up. We'll have more news that's going to be coming on all our user-generated content goals and ambitions. But that's pretty much the most I could say right now.
No, I love that though, because I think there's also a lot of community members who are more creatively inclined as well, who want to be able to flex that side of their engagement with the game. So being able to do so is really amazing. I cannot wait to see what happens with Embers. Again, signups are available, so please make sure that you go do that if you are interested. But look, we've got a lot of other kind of meat and potatoes for Snapshot 6 that we're going to discuss once we get into gameplay. Things like the ping system in action, that radial wheel that we now have for the quick actions for gadgets, the frag grenade, hopefully we'll get to see that tested out. Things like, I know you have the health kit on top of bandages as well. So a lot that ideally we'll get to see play out in the next couple of games. But I guess for Proving Grounds 2, because it's new, improved, Quinn, can you walk us through kind of the major changes that you can expect, whether it's environment, maybe color, anything else like that?
Yeah, so Proving Ground 2 is fun because for those of you that remember a part of the community, we had Proving Ground, the first Proving Ground, which came out in Snapshot 2. And this is part of our development process. And that is when we're coming out with a new environment or a new map to be played, we put it through the ringer, the crucible, which is called the Proving Ground, right? And in there is like our, it's like our kill house where we want players to go through. It's very basic in shapes, geo. It's very much like, hey, we're letting you see behind the curtain of how we make games. And that's okay. We're okay with it. That's the risk we want to take. And we're comfortable with those kind of risks in Midnight Society. We want to sit around and just do the status quo of things. So to your question, what Proving Ground 2 is, it's a brand new environment. It's not Sector 3. Sector 3 was the original Proving Ground with a bunch of improvements and additions made onto it. But Proving Ground 2, you could then see the path we're taking is that'll become another sector once it's gone through its paces. In this snapshot, people are going to be playing it, logging a bunch of hours, giving us feedback, looking at that feedback. How do we iterate on it? How do we change it, make it better? Much like we did with Proving Ground 1 to Sector 3. And then when it becomes a full-on sector, it goes into the tower. It gets its own cinematic extractions. It would get its shutdown, its own unique shutdown event. You would expect to see things like the cleaners being there. All of those things are not present in Proving Ground 2 because, again, it's all about just the foundational elements of geo, level design, flow, verticality, and how do we be able to iterate on that quickly. And we want to do that in a live environment, in an open environment, so people can see, how the sausage is getting made. So that's pretty much what Proving Ground 2 is. And it's very different from Proving Ground 1 and what Sector 3 became. It's definitely vertical like Sector 3, but it's got some little tricks up its sleeve with its verticality and its sight lines and things like that. So we're very excited about what players are going to be able to see when it comes to Proving Ground 2 in the snapshot.
What I love that clarification, because I think sometimes it can get a little bit confusing of, is Proving Grounds one separate thing that's not related to the sectors, but knowing it all flows through that Proving Ground concept and then becomes that sector on its own merit, separated from everything else, is great. So I appreciate that explanation. Something else I'm curious about, if we jump into the game, is the cleaners. We've heard about them, much like Embers. This is something we've known about for a while, but finally getting cleaners implemented into actual gameplay. Quinn, is this going to be something where they're nothing to scoff at? You got to be careful in engagements, or are these the kind of AI that you can run and gun, you don't have to worry about?
Yeah, those are great questions, Katie. Those are something that we went through a lot during our development of the cleaners in Snapshot 6. And we have definitely gone back and forth in the different iterations from they were super easy, just roll over them, to they were just death machines. And that was fun testing that out and going in between. And what players can experience in here is a little bit of that Goldilocks. They're not too hard, not too soft, in between. Hopefully they're feeling just right, but not finished, not complete, not perfect, but there's something that they'll target you if you get too close. If you shoot at them, they'll shoot back. They are more lethal than what we've had previously in our earlier builds. They have a little bit more health than players do. So you got to take that into account as well. We didn't want to make them like, super tanky where they have to take a bunch of ammunition to take down, because that's not really fun. We didn't want to make bullet sponges, but we also didn't want to make them super frail. So in Snapshot 6, what we are hoping to get out of it is players will think about when they see a cleaner, is that a player? Okay, yep, that's not a player, that's a cleaner. All right, what I want to do is we'll let that cleaner go and loot the body. Because that's what cleaners do. They enter the environment when someone is killed, they go to where that body is, and they loot the body and they take their gear. And then they mysteriously clean up the body, which reasons we don't quite know yet. There's mystery there. But as a player, you get to decide, hey, do I want to shoot them, engage them? And if so, then we have another gunfight. Other people can hear. And so that's kind of a little bit of what the decision maker we want to have with players when it comes to cleaning.
Do you know, in that instance, say you win a gunfight with another team, cleaners show up, if they've looted the death bag and you kill the cleaner, are those items in their death bag that you can then loot from the cleaner, or do they kind of just disappear?
No, they don't disappear. The goal is that, they take the person's bag, their contents, and if you kill them, because they try to escape, they try to extract. If you kill them while they are on their extraction route, then you get to have their gear.
Awesome. Well, guys, we've jumped into game. As you can see, Dr. Lupo on your screen. Another one of the great gaming doctors looking on his sight line with that sniper. Does have some bandages you can see as well down at the bottom right alongside the ammo. Some of those utility. The bandages very important. And Quinn, something I'm also curious about, health kits are a new addition. What is the heal difference between a health kit and a bandage?
Yeah, so the healing kit is a new item. Like you said, so it heals 50 HP or health points. And that is, that like the healing, the bandage heals 20. So that's kind of the difference there, is that the health kit takes a little bit slower, but it heals 50, so more than double than the bandages, which heal 20.
Dr. Lupo, an engagement with another team just down the hallway through that door, was able to get an initial snipe. Not sure if it was a down, but you gotta back off depending on where you throw that frag grenade. But looks like they want to pursue this team. You can see 20 in the lobby in the first extraction phase, opening in about 2.5 minutes. Again, if you're just tuning in, this is first gameplay that we get to take a look at from DEADROP Snapshot 6. There's a lot of new additions, and you can tell if you look at the bottom left of the screen, the addition of squads. Now, this is a 3-player squad, and Quid, I believe 3 is max right now, correct?
Yep, sure is. There's 3's the max squad size, and like you're saying, Katie, this is what's interesting here is that Dr. Lupo and his squad, they're up here. They just took the sky bridge. They're pretty up here at the top of the map pretty early on. The first phase of extractions is just now about to be coming in 2 minutes. The freeze just started to rise, and they're near the top of the map. So they're already in a firefight of people that are kind of holding the super lift up there, which is that spot in the middle.
And that's where you have to be careful too, because you get kills up in this area, the cleaners are going to show up. A shot out from Lupo, no connection. But a note I wanted to make as well, just a moment ago, you saw Dr. Lupo looting that death bag. You can now pick up a death bag and move it somewhere else. So if it's in the line of fire, perhaps it's in a place that's not optimal for you to be looting it, you can pick it up for your teammates or otherwise and move it somewhere safe to get the most out of it. So we swing over to another one of our POVs, Oma, Schatz, and MCAD. All of them seemingly alive and well, but reminder, Quinn, you get to come back as well, right? So if you get taken down initially, as we can see, this is the player character, you will get at least 2 lives to come back and try and reclaim your stuff and assist your team.
Yeah, that's right. That's something we introduced in Snapshot 5. When you die, we wanted to make sure that we gave players a lot of revs or play time on sessions. And so when you die, you get to come back as what we're calling a sin, which is just a, synthetic humanoid machine, and your view looks a little bit different. But other than that, you have all the same skills and attributes of your standard human character. And we're going to go more into that later as far as differences between the two and everything. We've got plans there. But that is essentially our respawn mechanic right now, is players have 2 extra lives after their initial life to be able to come back in and fight.
Some sogs.
Swing on over to another one of the DEADROP content creators, another team, actually the same team, pardon me. Everyone chats now on screen. I think just looting up, taking their time, trying to work their way around the area and get prepared perhaps for a DEADROP. I would think most of these teams are going to try and get that DEADROP. Not only do you want to be the last team standing, there's a little bit of a flex involved in that, but slow but steady right now, just getting fully kitted up. And I can't wait actually to see one of these teams come into contact with cleaners and see how that causes an interaction, not only between that team, but as you mentioned, Quinn, potential third parties listening to that firefight.
Yeah, absolutely. And so this POV that we have, this is another community team. This is Helmet Fire. He's a major part of the DEADROP Midnight Society existence. And they're here in the shipping hub. So this is that big giant tower, super vertical. And, Dr. Lupo and his team were at the very top. These guys are like, level 3. And so what you heard a minute ago is that you heard a cleaner voice, and cleaners are very, they have like heavy modulated voices.
Yes, I've heard that, Quinn. It startled me the first time I heard it. I was like, oh, this is a horror movie.
Yeah, and that's by design. We wanted them to be startling. We wanted, again, they're all about mystery. We don't want to just reveal everything. We don't want players to be like, okay, that's, it's just a bunch of humans or a bunch of aliens or robots. Like, we want some mystery there because we want to build up what we're doing in the DEADROP universe. And so that's why they don't speak English. They have voice modulators, all that kind of stuff. So that's some of the stuff that you could tell when a cleaner's nearby when you hear that deep, bassy, modulated voice.
Yeah, it does not sound like a friendly person, chat. If you're watching this, if you're jumping into Snapshot 6, yes, you can hear them right there. They do not sound nice, and you can go ahead and take a peek at them as we swing over to American Dad, Cairo, and Spicy. Now, I've had the pleasure to cast over American Dad and Cairo plenty of times, but shots going out, some conflict here toward the very top of the sector, and able to get one. Allison goes down. Nice job out of them. Takes a little bit of damage, but all three up and doing a good job of locking down that DEADROP, if that's the extract that they're going for.
Yeah, I mean, he just killed Allison, who's our producer on the team, which is hilarious.
Ooh.
And then Greg right there, that's our lead environment artist. He just got taken out. And so you can see the dev team or teams, they're pretty much trying to lock down the top area up here, trying to be cheeky like that. So that's why you got so much conflict at the top. So I think they're just trying to hold out and have people get funneled to them to get kills.
Well, it seems to be working. Spicy already with 2 eliminations, 19 total players remaining as we have a countdown another 10 seconds for the phase extraction to move forward. The comms here, it's so exciting from a casting perspective to watch how the comms and the movement and the gameplay evolve in DEADROP from the event in Texas alongside Optic to now. It's a lot of excitement personally to see how into it these players are, like American Dad, Cairo, and Spicy, and kind of the comms and how they figure out the map as well, because they're not going to know this map inside and out.
No, and I'm with you too, Katie. We were there at the event, and it was almost like a brand new experience for a lot of those people that were playing. And what you see here is, I agree with you earlier when you said I don't think many people are trying to go for extractions. Like, that extraction wave just ended, and I'm pretty sure both the chopper and the giant zipline are still there. And I think everyone is just going for the DEADROP. They want to, impose their will upon the other players in this server.
Now, I don't know if you have an answer to this question, but I was curious. So there's going to be bodies up here that the cleaners are showing up to, well, clean in whatever way they do so. If you took the death bag and threw it off so it fell down, the cleaners are still going to show up and clean up that body, correct?
Yep. Yeah, they just won't get to that bag. I mean, if you throw it off, they won't get to the bag for sure. But yeah, their main thing is definitely they want to get the bag, they want to loot it, and then they want to get the body and clean it. In air quotes, they want to clean the body. So that's kind of what's going on there. But yeah, if there's a bunch of combat up here, it doesn't matter where there's combat. If there's death, there'll be cleaners soon following. So when you do kill someone, you have to have that timer go off in your head and be like, okay, I killed that person maybe far away. Do I want to sit here and just watch cleaners show up? And do I want to take them out from afar? Or do I want to try to just create a bunch of dead bodies in this area? And then cleaners come here, and then it attracts more people. And then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy of death upon death upon death. And so there's just all these different things that players can do with cleaners themselves. And we've seen them on our playtest, and we are more than excited over the moon of what we could see players in the wild, what they're going to do with cleaners, because we're going to learn so much about what we thought we knew.
Yeah, and I think using them either as an alarm system, a bait system, something else, I think there's a lot of creativity and expression that you can have as a player. But something I want to point out here, you can see Shady on your screen is a synthetic, which means that he has been killed at least one time. You can tell that because everything kind of has that red outline to it to indicate that he is a synthetic. Now, he could go back to his bag if the cleaners or someone else hasn't got to it. Maybe one of his teammates picked it up and moved it to safety for him. But that is how you can tell. American Dad on your screen now has not died. You can tell everything looks normal.
That's right.
So not yet a synthetic.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, and so if you stay alive, then at the final extraction, then when that happens, all the respawns get disabled. So There's kind of some risk reward there, but yeah, you're right. If you die as a Sin, you can come back and get your death bag if it wasn't taken by another player or looted by Sins. Absolutely.
And I believe it's the Deep Freeze collection. That is actually the camos he's using on his guns, which were available at the Optic event in Texas. I have mine in my stash. I'm too scared to use them in a game, but American Dad, no fear.
Yep. No, I mean, that is true. You could use them and then you could lose them, but you know, we're still here early in development. We always find ways to make sure that players can get them back and use them again. So it's up to you, Kate. If you wanna rock them, you go ahead. If not, you can hold on to them too. It's your choice.
Yeah, and I know you can tag them as well if you want to bring them in to give yourself a little bit of extra security. On worst case, you could buy them back from the vendor with the space dust that you collect. But some pretty constant firefights here at the very top of the map, and American Dad, Cairo, and Spicy doing a good job of holding it down. Cairo with 5 eliminations, but still 17 overall players left, but unfortunately gets caught out to the left side. Not a lot you can do there. We'll have to come back as a synthetic and try and make something happen. Hopefully get back to support his team. Now, something I've noticed as well, when you spawn in as a synthetic, you do actually spawn fairly close. You're not exactly on top of your team, but it does seem like you spawn within reach of them.
Yeah, that was another fun thing that we went through tuning, is just to make sure that when you respawn, you don't spawn so close that it kind of punishes the team that is winning the fight by killing your team. Because then that could be frustrating to try to kill another squad and then they get reinforcements so quickly. But at the same time, we didn't want you to be spawning so far away that you can't regroup after a lost fight. So you do spawn close-ish, but not too close where you could re-engage in that gunfight that you just died in.
We're above you.
We'll swing over back to Oma, Schatz, and MCAD.
Just came out of the doorway.
Looks like they have at least one team locked down. They do have the high ground, but it's some pretty long shots. And if they want to go up crane, they will have to be careful because you will be pretty exposed from a lot of different angles. However, it will get you very close to that final dead drop extraction point. So we go ahead and swing on up this ladder. It looks like that will be the location they're taking. They spot one going up the ramp somewhere. We saw Dr. Lupo's team previously. And nice, able to get a tag and an elimination. That was a beautiful shot. Poor, I feel like we've seen Greg die a couple times now.
Got another kill.
Yeah, that was
Brad.
And that's Brad. A dev. There's Brad getting taken out. Beautiful.
And
everyone loves to kill Brad, not only in the game team, but also outside the game team.
Poor Brad. But Schatz, some crispy shots there. Nice job on 2 of those eliminations. And
yeah, what's interesting about this match, Katie, is just how there's still so many players left. They're starting to converge as you look. The freeze is rising over there, so everyone's getting pushed up. And it's going to get really intense here with 10 players to go. With the super lift is about to come down in about 5 seconds.
Do you know, as that super lift comes down, if there's going to be indications of players remaining of how many are the actual player versus how many are synthetics, or is it always just going to be kind of that total amount?
Yeah, it's the total, because we're treating Sins the same as like a human. I mean, it's still the same player. They're controlled. So right now we're not differentiating between the two and the
that's a lot of backs.
Players left.
Look at your ping. He's to your left.
So yeah, here's the super lift. There's multiple squads hanging out up here. And this was fun in the design of this area, is that we wanted it big enough so that it can support multiple teams, but multiple teams with tents, to make it, there's some tense standoffs where they can be, because there's multiple inhabitants, but they're not necessarily right on top of each other. So that's what's going to be fun here. And you're right. I mean, the amount of death bags here is like, going shopping right now.
Yeah, there is more than enough utility available to these players, and picking up some much needed bandages and health kits, I'm sure as well, a scarce resource when you're jumping into a dead drop game. It is going to be something that you want to try and collect whenever you can. But now with just 8 players remaining, in a good position to try and take it home, but We know there's at least one other team pushing into this general location that's had some good shots. That's Shatz's team that we've seen. Well, some shots
so
already
now we
coming
got
across. Uh-oh.
These squads up here, plus cleaners are here now. So there's cleaners in the air. So it's getting pretty close, too close for comfort right now.
You've also got to be mindful, if you're not already up here, the deep freeze is going to be pushing you up very quickly. But this is Shatz, who I just mentioned, has a nice pre-aim waiting for that peek, goes for a shot, doesn't quite connect, but you got to get away from this deep freeze as well. It will do a lot of damage to your character very, very quickly, funneling everyone up. But the extract gets missed, and you can hear Shat saying, well, what do we do? At least you can get a takedown onto Allison. But if you miss that extract...
Yeah, so I mean, here's the thing. This is what's interesting is if there's people on that super lift, then they escape, they leave, and you see right here, Shatz saying, "Let's hold this tower." Now we're seeing the dead drop scenario. We're going to see who's going to be the final one to win, and then get the dead drop.
Let's go, fucker. Let's go.
This is a death match right now. There's not that much space left, and we're going to see the final kill here for the dead drop.
There we go. Let's see what Spicy's able to do. 9 eliminations so far. Can you turn that into double digits? Would be impressive if they're able to. Trying to keep an eye out on all possible angles, but everyone funneled into this general location. A util goes out, able to back off, but gets tagged in the back. And yeah, there you can hear it, a 1v1. The comms are in, able to get those bandages off. Just trying to get an angle on where exactly this other player is. Oh yeah, and I think you heard that, Quinn. Yeah, he might be fighting the cleaners.
Yep. Yeah. So there's cleaners in the environment here. That freeze rises to the point you could. It's a little deceiving. You could actually go down there a little bit. That fog layer is more of a. You can't really see down there very well. Just in that lower area right there. If you go any lower than that, then yeah, you're going to get killed.
Ah, that's good to know. So the fog a bit deceiving on your ability to survive in it. Spicy taking some shots around the corner. Does have the bandages to be able to get back up to full, but I think maybe only one bandage left now. That's going to be the last.
He has a frag grenade too. This is the final battle right here. A gunshot right there. Oh, against Brad.
And on to Brad.
Right
there you go. And a victory for Spicy. A nice one at that. And that's going to be, I think, 10 eliminations. When you're jumping out of a map like that, Quinn, is 10 eliminations going to be on the higher end of kills you're going to expect from players? Where does that sort of fall?
We've seen pretty high in internal play tests, but 10 is like, I would say definitely on the higher side. But I mean, the community is going to be, I think, you're going to have people that are going to be kitted out of their minds. They're going to have all sorts of gear. And I think pretty soon you're just going to see higher kill totals than that for sure. And I'd love to see it. I'd love to see people sharing it on social media. I'd love to see it streaming. So higher the kill count, the better.
Now, I want to go back to the ping system. We did see it, I believe, get used at least a couple times during that map. For the ping system, are there any plans to expand out the type of pings that you can utilize, or how is that going to work?
No, we're not going to expand anything else, Katie. This is it. No more changing of anything. But no, I'm just joking. No, of course we're gonna. Yeah, this is just the very beginning. I mean, we've already talked plans of like the next snapshot. We're well deep into snapshot 7 planning and what we're trying to do and execute on that. So we've already got the ping system. This is just the first implementation of not only the ping system, but also our economy, the vendor, the cleaners, right? I mean, the cleaners, this is their first debut. So we have all sorts of plans where we want to expand upon all these features over time. And that's the best part about getting these things in for Snapshot 6 is because now we're going to see how much of these plans did we have figured out and we're going to go after them. And how much of it is like, hey, you know what, when this thing's in the wild and what the players are telling us and what they're showing us, we should change our plans just a little bit because this could be made better if we do this. Or someone in the community might have an even better idea than what we're already planning. So that's just a way to answer your questions. Like, it's not just pings, it's everything across the board we're going to be expanding upon as we jump into another game.
Now we're going to take a look at replays featuring the team that won it all. Got the dead drop courtesy of Spicy on your screen right now. Some beautiful shots early on. Shots as well. A highlight player through map 1 doing an amazing job. And ooh, some of those close range gunfights can get pretty stressful pretty quick. So you can see, taken down. Varks as we swing over to Ames there up at the very top. One of the teams that was vying for that final extraction control and wasn't able to get it done.
Yeah, see, so I was mistaken. Yeah, like you said, this is like the highlights from the last match. That last clip, she was actually killed by one of the cleaners and she was taken by surprise. She said that at the end. She's like, oh, that was one of the AI or whatever. So they can definitely kill you and you need to take that into account. But I think right here, this is right here, you know, American Dad at the top, getting all the slays. I'm really curious to see how much of the second match changes. How much are people changing the strategy? And you mentioned the people being able to grab the bags. You didn't see a lot of that. I think that is something that we're going to see more and more of as people realize that.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially as well, if you get into a power position and you already have the loot you need, if you take people's bags and throw them into the Rising Freeze, you just throw them away, then if they're coming back as Sins, maybe they didn't have the time to be able to loot up effectively, they're going to have a really tough time in those final fights against you. So I'm hoping, as you said, that maybe we see more of that death bag movement in the next game. But something that you've mentioned I want to go back to is more information on the cleaners, because last game we did see one of the cleaners get taken down, and they do have different names, right? We saw a Harvester get eliminated. So what is the plan with that? Is there any substantial difference in cleaners right now, or is it kind of just name only being a difference?
No, it's not. Yeah, the great question. Yeah, it's not just names. So they do have roles, if you will. So the Harvester, that is the main cleaner type that goes and inspects the body, loots the body of a fallen player, and then quote unquote cleans the body. So that's what they do. I know. I love
this is so vague, and I don't know what you keep implying, but it sounds so insidious that I can't wait to find out what the cleaning entails.
Right. Yeah. It's a little. Yeah. It could be a little mysterious, gross, insidious. All the things all the above. Yeah. So, but yeah. So that's the Harvester, and then there's a guard. The guard is a bit heavier set, heavier armored, and the guard is, you know, the guard. It's there to protect the Harvester. The guard is the one that's not watching the Harvester cleaning. He's got his back to the Harvester, looking out,
right,
making sure no one else is around. That's the guard. And then there's the scout. The scout is always the first one on the scene of the crime, and so they're the ones that you're going to see first. They're the ones that are going to go and see, essentially scout out the area. So again, first implementation of all these things, or at least the debut of them, I should say. And we're going to evolve these over time. Are we going to come out with more cleaners? I don't know. We'll see. But that's essentially, to answer your question, those are the three types of cleaners that you see. And that's excluding the vendor, who is the one that you primarily deal with in your hideout when it comes to the exchange of dust and armaments and armor and all that kind of stuff.
I've said it a lot before at previous Dead Drop events. I'm a big fan of lore in video games. I really feel like, for myself, and I know a lot of others, it helps me get hooked into the game itself. It really lets me feel immersed in the environment and the world. So when it comes to Harvesters, guards, scouts, whatever it may be, the vendor themselves, do you know if we'll get more expanded lore about them? Anything kind of on that side of the game?
Sorry, specifically, are you saying like in Snapshot 6, or are you just saying like ever?
Someday, yes. Not Snapshot 6 specific, but someday down the road.
Yeah, absolutely, Katie. I mean, that's something that we care deeply about. I know I had lots of conversations at Midnight Society and with the team. There's lots of interest about, when you're creating this new IP, how do we do it in a way that, yeah, the gameplay's got to be great, it's got to be fun, but also how do you create a universe and a world that people want to come back to, not just because the gameplay is fun, it's got its hooks, but because it's interesting, right? And so that's why we're even coming up with these terms like embers, variants, claws, all that kind of stuff. The existence, right? That is all part of not just Dead Drop lore, but Midnight Society lore.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for the explanation and the teaser, maybe for what we can look forward to come down the road in future snapshots. But right now, it's all about Snapshot 6, and it's all about the gameplay. So let's jump right into things. You've got a little triple split screen up here again. American Dad right into the action on the staircase, tight corners. Things getting a little tricky. Team Oma was able to take down American Dad, I believe. Spicy forced to back off. Helmet fire there at the bottom, gets tagged up and not able to get away from the line of sight quick enough. So a lot of synthetics coming out pretty quickly at the start of this round.
Yep, absolutely. I think we're going to see more and more of that. I think also, I think you're just going to see maybe a pulling back of aggression. People are still going to want to go for the dead drop. But even that last match, you saw how many players are alive. And that's just something you see in any game. Anytime it's a competitive setting, viewers are there, whether it's an esports event or not. If there's something on the line, whether it's, money or pride, people are going to play differently. That's why we love events like this, Katie, is because we have our internal play tests where, yeah, we care, but you could see people care right now in this event. And that informs us a lot as developers in the game.
Yeah, there's always going to be that competitive passion, that drive to want to win and to become the best at something, whether it's learning the maps in Dead Drop, learning the different sectors, if you will, the different weapons, kind of all the sneaky locations you can get into. Case in point, Chats here just tucking around the side, the lip of that wall. There's also a lot of pipes and other different kind of verticalities you can use to get to different areas of the map that you might not be aware of at first glance.
Yep. Yeah. So you're right, and absolutely. I think what's interesting about right now, this match we're looking at, this is on Proving Ground 2. So now it's a totally different ball game. There's no cleaners. The only threats are other players. This is all about the geometry and the level design, just the pure design of the experience. And so you're just going to see players. I think there's going to be people getting lost. They're trying to learn something new, brand new environment. So I think in a way, you're going to see some conservative gameplay that's still competitive, but I think you're going to find a lot of, this might be a little bit less surgical and more sloppy.
Yeah, and this is, as we mentioned earlier, the Proving Grounds are where Midnight Society wants to get your feedback. It will directly influence when the current map in the Proving Grounds becomes a sector on its own. So what we're seeing now, and not only everyone else with access giving their feedback, is so very vital to making each one of these sectors as fleshed out and excellent as it can be. But we did briefly see there from that prior team, I believe it was Spicy's team, that someone did actually have a health kit. I believe was that green. It looks like a bandage. Yeah. So I think that's maybe our first look at least what those health kits might look like when you pick them up.
Yeah, and that's what I love about this team is the health kits were not even planned. They were not a planned thing when we set out after the Optic event in Dallas. Snapshot 5 goes off. All right, now we're planning Snapshot 6, what we're looking at today. The health kits was not even a thing that was planned. It just was passion from the dev team. It's like, hey, you know what? We need more healing items. Let's just come up with another one. It's going to have pretty much the same art, but we're going to color it green, and then we're just going to tune it so it takes a little bit longer, but it gives you more health. And I was like, as creative director, I'm like, you know what? I didn't know about this, but I'm not mad about it. This is okay. This is cool. We can do this. Let's just roll with this. And I just love that kind of passion from the team of playing the game, knowing the game, listening to the players that are playing the snapshots, and then just actioning on it. And then I just get pleasantly surprised by the stuff that shows up, even if we didn't plan it. So that's kind of like the genesis of how the health kit even came about.
I had no idea. I actually love that. I think having something that does take longer to utilize, but packs more of a punch in terms of healing is a great addition on top of bandages. Because again, bandages are not necessarily the easiest piece of loot to find when you're in a sector. They can kind of be a hot commodity. So I think not only having those, the healing stations and the health kits kind of gives a nice variety of ways that you can prepare for gunfights. Of course, be able to back off and heal up if you need to. But I do love that addition. I think it was a great choice. As we wait for the extraction phase to open up. Everyone kind of just looting here. Aim's in a bit more stable of a position than we saw last time around, where they were taken out by one of the cleaners. But everyone just taking their time. And I think this is going to be that the adrenaline spray that she just used, correct?
Yeah. So the adrenaline spray, it essentially it just buffs your movement speed, and then it gives you damage mitigation. So it's in the healing slot. It doesn't actually heal you. You don't use it to gain any type of health back. But what you do is, like, if you're going to go in a gunfight, you can move faster. You could also go from point A to point B faster. You could strafe faster, but you also have damage mitigation, which is always nice.
I'm glad to know.
So right there, she only did 8 right there because she's using the double barrel shotgun. Yeah. And that thing, you got to be really close. You put that in someone's chest, you get 2 shots, you're going to waste someone. But if you're at any type of range, it's not the best weapon.
I'm just glad to know I'm not the only one who dodges in real life when I'm playing a game like this. That made me feel a little bit better, but unfortunately not able to get out of that gunfight. As you said, that shotgun, it can pack a punch, but you have to be close enough to that person to be able to do so. And that adrenaline spray, a lot of uses, right? Not only could it be used as an engaged tool with the damage mitigation and the speed boost, but also as a tool to get away from a gunfight that you don't feel like you can successfully win. And on that note, Quinn, if you use that spray and say you pick up your teammate's death bag, does that slow you down holding the death bag, or could you kind of grab that, hit that adrenaline spray, and get out of dodge?
Yeah, see, you're already on to us, Katie, on things that we're trying to look at in the future. Is like, right now there is not a penalty for picking up the death bag or the grab and go, right? It's just, so yeah, you could huff down an adrenaline spray, grab your friend's death bag, and if she respawns and you're going to where she respawned, you could take her back her stuff. So that is absolutely a very viable tactic. But internally, yeah, we're discussing not necessarily to nerf it, but more of like, hey, should we have a little bit of a penalty for doing this? Something, a little trade-off, right? Because right now it's 100% beneficial. And again, we always want players to be making difficult decisions when they're playing a game.
Somebody's on the stairs.
Yeah, and some of those decisions being made right now. This is you see Brad on the
AJ.
team. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is AJ. He's our QA tester, and he's teamed up with Brad, who's our level designer, who designed this map. So obviously he does a bunch of skeezy stuff in here because he's the only person that knows everything right now. And then we've got he's there also Brax. Brax is Brandon. He's our lead character and weapon artist.
And someone in chat was asking if you die with your loadout, you lose it. That is correct. Those death bags on the ground would contain all of your items if you were killed. However, you come back twice as a synthetic, so you could realistically get back to your death bag if your teammates get it, or perhaps you get back to it before cleaners or anyone else can get to it. Additionally, there is that new tagging feature with the vendor, and I believe it costs space dust to tag one of your items so that if you lose it when you're dropping into a sector, you can get it back. You can buy it back from the vendor, correct?
Yeah, I mean, but you're right. The vendor, he doesn't just give you stuff for free. You gotta pony
pay.
up some cheddar. Yeah. And so if you do that, you give him some dust, then you could essentially tag an item. And we've got all this in the patch notes, like how it looks and everything. When you tagged an item, it's got a little yellowish gold icon on the image of your weapon or whatever it is that you tagged. And essentially what that means is if you've died with an item that's tagged and no other player or another cleaner hasn't, taken it, or sorry, if another player hasn't taken it, then you can it'll show back up in the vendor's shop, and then you can get it for yourself. But then you got to pay to get it back. But that's a really valuable feature because players, like right now, I'm kind of kitting out my own pump shotgun, and I'm finding all these pieces for it. And then when I have it already kitted out, then I'm going to tag it. I'm going to go into a match and then hope for the best.
Yeah, and I think gives you a little more options in terms of maybe you have those camos you really want to show off, but reduce perhaps the risk of losing them forever. But now again, we're taking a look. Cairo, 5 eliminations and only 8 players remaining. That 8 count is including their team. So very well could be in a situation where they're the only full triple squad left alive. But you can tell kind of jiggle peeking these corners, trying to get any information they can, because that time to kill, if they're not careful on another team, they could get taken out very quickly.
Yeah, and here's the thing. They're in the situation now where this is the extraction phase. And this, since we're in a proving ground, the proving ground has a different game mode experience than a full sector does. And this is very much similar to what we had in the first proving ground, where there's extractions, and it's more of an extraction-based experience than it is a, theatrical extractions and a sector shutdown and the dead drop. You could still get a dead drop here. It's just more uncommon because everyone gets 2 extractions to choose from. And the difference is that those extractions are shared. So you can actually go to an extraction point that another team has and you have gunfights. So this is just a little bit of a different experience, and players need to choose in the next 4.5 minutes. Do you want to go and extract? And if you don't extract, then you have 2 minutes to be the last team standing. Otherwise, if there's multiple teams standing, then everyone fails.
Oh, really?
And everyone loses. Yeah. So that's kind of the difference in this, is because it's that proving ground experience. We care mostly about the geo. And so when you're in here, you care most about that and the extracting. But if you do want to go for the dead drop when the extraction phase ends, you have 2 minutes, and then you have to kill everybody. And then we actually ping everyone's locations every few seconds, so no one can really hide.
Oh,
so
interesting. Okay. Wow. So you cannot hide. The game will force you out into the open to have those gunfights. You can see, by the way, top right there in AJ's inventory is that zipline thruster that you can use on the zip lines to go in either direction. I think that is such a great addition and quality of life upgrade, because it gives you that ability in a vertically based extraction shooter to, I think, have a better experience in that moment if you can get one, to be able to, of course, get up to your teammates, get away from a gunfight, whatever it may be.
That's right. There's one of our key philosophies in Dead Drop is that we believe power is earned. And so being able to go up a zip line is not something that's like earth-shatteringly new in games, but something that we want to do is that if we're going to have an ability like that, we want to make it so that it is an inventory item. It is something that you have to go and you find, you have to extract with, kill someone else that has it, win the dead drop and take it for yourself, and then choose to load out with it going into the next match. And that gives you an advantage over other players who don't have that item, as opposed to just making it a base player trait where everyone can go up zip lines and all that. And so that's back to the powers earned philosophy, is that we want level design to really matter. If you have the high ground, you want to feel like you have power there and controlled routes. And if everyone can just go up and down zip lines all the time really quickly, then that kind of frustrates that design. So it is something that we really like, to have more gear items that make players powerful. But again, they're gear items, they're consumable. You could lose them, and you don't just have them. It's not an innate ability like, say, sliding around or crouching.
Spicy backing off some quick comms with American Dad and Cairo. They know someone's at the end of this hallway, just trying to get that space for the engagement. Does give Spicy the ability to back off, and does also have some tacticals for use if they want. Take a look. American Dad got that nice scope out. Will give some great gap closing potential if you can get at least one of those downs, one of those eliminations. This team, the comms seem like they've been so clean the entire time, and for good reason. There's 5 people left, and they are a full trio squad.
And they were at the end of the last match too, so it makes perfect sense, right?
And I think those comms are something that I love to hear, because you can tell how much they genuinely are enjoying the experience. They're having a great time, laughing. They're getting the eliminations. They're getting the good gunfights, but they're just enjoying the experience. And I think that says a lot as well to what you guys are building, that, hey, they're here, they're having a great time. And, well, it doesn't hurt that it looks like they might be able to close this out and win it as well.
Yeah, this is what's going to be interesting. I don't think they plan on extracting. So what I hope they realize is that as soon as this timer runs out, they're going to have 2 minutes, and they got to get aggressive. It's pretty much there has to be blood at the end of that. Otherwise, they might get frustrated if you're like, well, how come everyone died? Well, it's like, well, that's just how it is. We want to force people to engage. Oh, so the other team extracted. That's what happened. The other team they got chicken and they decided, okay, we're going to extract.
Wow.
And then that's how this team got the dead drop, is because they won that game of chicken right there. So that's essentially what happened from their POV. They're like, hey, how did the team die? I don't know. But me working in the game, I know that what happened is that the other team, there was 30 seconds left in the extraction phase. They open an extraction. They're like, hey, you know what?
They said,
Let's
peace,
just
we're
cut
out of here.
our losses. Let's peace out. Let's go through the extraction. And then in a way, both teams kind of feel like they won.
Yeah, they decide maybe the safer route, which is get that extraction, get what we have right now. Maybe don't be extra greedy. We don't feel confident in that gunfight, especially if it was a 2v3 situation. And while the other team, yes, you don't get that bloodshed at the end to get that dead drop, but you got everything anyway because they extracted. So congratulations once again to American Dad and Co. They looked excellent both in map 1 and map 2. But Quinn, I always hate this part of a broadcast, but I think we're coming to the close now that we got to see some gameplay. But I have to ask before we close things out, do you have any portions of Snapshot 6 that are your personal favorites?
Oh, man. You know, one of the mantras or things that I try to stick to a lot as a person working in games is that I try very hard to not have favorites, because if there's favorites, then I could make that thing really good or cool, right? So if I have a favorite rifle, I'm going to make that rifle awesome because it's my favorite. But to not dodge the question, I think one of the things that I really love that we didn't really get to talk about there is a couple of things. I love the being able to grab a death bag and to take it somewhere. I think there's so many like nerdy things you could do with that just to torment other people, as well as benevolent things to do for your teammates, which we talked about. Hey, grab the bag, take it to your teammate that's respawning, but also just going and hiding it somewhere. Like, that's great. So I do love that feature, how that came in. I love the scrappiness of this team. Like in Snapshot 6, there was so many things that came into it that were not necessarily planned, but just the passion from the team is just inspiring for me as I am a part of it. So just want to say thanks to the team and all that. And then the other thing that we didn't really get to talk a lot about is that Proving Ground map it's a lot different. Like, it's very different.
It is.
From Sector 3. Like that bridge fight that we saw there at the end and the other team backed off. I love those kind of fights because it's very focused, it's very channeled. You feel like there's gunfights and there's flanking and there's just crazy verticality in the map that I just don't really get that itch scratched in other shooters. So hopefully that answered your question. I think there's a lot of stuff in there
That was great.
But for me, it's like, yeah, I love the death bag grab and go. I love Proving Grounds 3, and just want to thank the team for all their hard efforts and everything they put into Snapshot 6, because it really shows.
Yeah, I really think it's shined through. And again, congratulations to American Dad's team on being able to close out not just one map, but 2 maps, Sector 3 and Proving Grounds 2, which is percolating the new sector. So again, if you are going to be jumping into Proving Grounds, please make sure to send Midnight Society your feedback, because it directly makes a difference in when that map becomes a sector, the final product. But I want to also say thank you very much to Rob for joining us in the first portion of the stream. If you missed that, that's where all the meat and potatoes were about Snapshot 6. So please make sure you go back and watch it. Quinn, it has been a pleasure to be here with you for the gunfight portion, for actually dropping into the maps. And that's really it for us. Again, I want to say I'm so thrilled to have Sierra Dawn, Marks, Goj, and Tiff joining me on the commentary side for future Dead Drop events. But Quinn, I think we can go ahead and give a curtain call there. So thank you once again from Midnight Society to everyone making this a possibility, and we will see you next time.